Florida erases a double-digit deficit with 6 minutes to play. Walter Clayton Jr., big boy buckets, 22 of his 30 in the second half. The Gators went 4 for 4 from beyond the arc in less than 2 minutes after starting 5 of 20. Darian Williams for the tie. You remember he tied it up against Arkansas to send it to overtime. Needed that one to potentially send it to overtime here. Instead, it goes begging. And Florida going to go from San Francisco to San Antonio. First Final Four since 2014. They've won 2 national championships, now 2 wins away from another one. Back here in studio with the big men, Hunter Dickinson, Tim Doyle, Adam Finkelstein. Hunter, this game was incredible. It was sweaty when you're watching it. It was exciting. It was thrilling. A 10-point lead for Texas Tech with 6 minutes to play. How the heck did Florida get this done?
2 guys, Sam Houck.
Thomas.
Thomas Houck, Walter Clayton Jr. I mean, those 2 guys down 10 in the under 4. And, I mean, those were 2 big shots by Houck and then 2 more big shots by Walter Clayton. I mean, they went on an 18-4 run in the last 2:40 to close out the game. Adam said it. They find ways to win in multiple different areas. They don't have to worry about 1 or 2 guys to rely on to hit big shots. They're so deep that they can have a multitude of guys hit big-time shots. And so, I mean, you know, that's why I think they're the best team in the country.
Tim, I want to take you back to that play. We just showed it in the highlight. Walter Clayton drives in. They close him off. He dribbles out to the three-point line and takes that shot. There are not a lot of kids in this country, in this basketball, Division I, wherever the country you're playing basketball, I don't care where you're playing, there's not a lot of kids that are going to make that shot. They're going to dribble out and hit that.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best basketball players in the country. There's no other way to say it.
Here it is again.
I got to be honest, when he was doing this, I did not think this was a good shot. Okay?
No, I'm aware.
It kind of like defies everything in basketball you're taught as a young player. Dribbling away from the basket, turning around, and then shooting a three-pointer. This was a really good look. But at this point, the wheels had completely come off for Texas Tech. Full disclosure, with 3 minutes and 52 seconds, Texas Tech was up 9. Hunter Dickinson and I gave our breakdowns what we wanted to see. He wanted to see Darian Williams post-ups, domination. I wanted to see JT Toppin, jump hooks, get into his left hand. Both those guys were awesome. But both of those guys, Adam, missed key front ends of 1-and-1s. So not only did they miss free throws, they had an opportunity to get 4 points. They got 0. And when a team's making a run like that, you got to stop the bleeding. You got to make your free throws. On the flip side, Akeem, Florida 25 of 27 free throws.
Make your free throws, kids. We'll continue the conversation here in studio in a moment. Florida on to the Final Four for the first time since 2014. It's their 6th in school history. They have won 2 national titles and now 2 wins away from another one in San Antonio. All right, back out to San Francisco. Welcome in CBS Sports college basketball analyst Dan Bonner, who helped call this game. Dan, how the heck did Florida win that game? They were down by 10 with 6 minutes to play.
Well, Akeem, they're a pretty tough bunch, and you guys, I heard you guys talking about it. With a team like Florida, they're like a vampire. You got to put the stake in their heart. If you leave the door open, they're going to take advantage of it, and they were up 75-69 when Texas Tech missed the first front end of the 1-and-1. Houck went down and scored a 3. So now it's 75-72, and they came back and they missed the other front end of a 1-and-1, and then Florida was able to tie it up. And once you get to the end of a close game with these guys, they just give it to Walter Clayton, and he takes over.
Dan, you were a great player yourself. You were a coach as well in Division I. You saw what Thomas Houck was able to do. You saw what Walter Clayton Jr. was able to do, those 4 threes in a row. What was so incredible about them making those shots late?
Well, they're big shot makers, and I think you have to have, there's a certain mindset that you have to take the shot in that situation, and so they both have that mindset. But they played very well, but I'm telling you now, the other guys for Florida, they're a very deep team. I thought Richard played really well. I thought Martin played really well. I thought the other big guys played really well. These guys are going to be a tough out.
Yeah, when you make 25 of your 27 free throws, going to be difficult to beat. And when you can have big shots like that, time after time after time. This is a national championship contender. If you can come back from down 10, Florida can cut down the nets.
There's no question about that. This is a team, you look, they're one of the country's top offensive teams. They're one of the country's top defensive teams. They get up and down the court very quickly. They're a great fast breaking team. How many times did we see in this game today where Texas Tech would make a shot and suddenly Florida's shooting a layup down in the other end? I mean, they're just very difficult to prepare for. They've got guys who can play every aspect of the game.
Dan, appreciate you taking time with us here on CBS Sports HQ. Great call on the game as well. That was thrilling. Appreciate your time. Take care. Most wins in a season in Florida history. Take a look at that right there. 34-4. They've had multiple 30-win seasons. They've got to the Final Four, a couple of them ending with a national championship back-to-back. Can they get back to the national championship and win it? We wait to see, but what a team this is as they rally from 10 down with 6 minutes to play. They knocked down 4 of their last 4 3-point shots after starting 5 of 20. All right, back here in studio, Adam Finkelstein, Hunter Dickinson, Tim Doyle. Adam, you told the great story about Thomas Houck at halftime. We gave you the number that they're 27-0 when leading at halftime. I thought maybe it would be 27-1 when they were losing by 10. But the shot-making ability, and Dan touched on it as well, by Houck and Walter Clayton Jr. is elite.
It is truly elite, and I thought Walter Clayton Jr. in particular was just sensational down the stretch of this game. Remember, he did this last week, too, against UConn. UConn was winning against Florida for the vast majority of that game, and then he hits 2 of these against the 2-time defending champions as well. So this is the second time that the Gators' run could have been over earlier than expected before his heroics. And some of these shots are just absolutely ridiculous. That one's Houck. But what Clayton did, the specifics, look at that. Hand in his face. There's no hand down, man down. That's hand up, and it don't matter. That's what that one is. And this guy's shot making is so special. I'll tell you this. Earlier this week, I said I thought he was a first-round pick this year. That's a little bit of a contrarian take. People will tell you that he's a better college player than he is an NBA player. I think this guy's an absolute stud. When you can shoot the ball like that and you're becoming a lead guard, there's going to be more and more people talking about his NBA upside here in the next 24 hours.
I just want to add to that, because when you said the NBA stuff, I called Freddie Van Vliet's games when he was at Wichita State. And I got to be honest, I didn't see it. Guy's had an awesome career. He's made a ton of money.
Yep, bet on himself.
All-star. He's an NBA champion. When you were talking NBA comparison, and then this guy, like Freddie Van Vliet, just like popped in my head. Winner, took Wichita State to new heights. This guy started his career at Iona and really didn't play much as a freshman. And now he's one of the best players. He made some impossible shots. But to Adam's point, he's been doing this whole tournament. He did this against UConn. So fantastic performance. If you're a Texas Tech fan, I'm sorry. There's no other way. I'm sorry. That was brutal.
Yeah, brutal.
They had analytics said, I showed Hunter this, that a 96% chance of winning, and then Hunter, this guy, took over.
Yeah, I think, Tim, you mentioned it. The game was lost on the 2 missed 1-and-1s. I think, if you hit at least 2 of those free throws, I think Texas Tech wins the game. To have Darion Williams, who's an 84% free throw shooter, miss, and then JT Toppin, who's a 70% free throw shooter, miss, that was really deflating and really gave, opened the door for Florida to win. I don't understand why at the end of the game, Texas Tech didn't go back to that ball screen with JT Toppin on the overloaded side, with him going to his left hand on a cleared side. I mean, they scored 2 straight possessions on that when they really needed baskets, and then they went away from it when Florida was making that run. I feel like if they would have went to that play a little bit more, I think they would have had more success giving it to their Big 12 Player of the Year.
Florida's one of those teams, because of this spurtability, you can't just run the ball into the line of scrimmage. You got to keep scoring. They got up 9, timeout, they go in the huddle. I've been there. And you're like, wait, we're going to win this game? Everyone starts looking around like, holy cow, we're actually going to win this game. And I felt like that happened. And then when Darion Williams, he missed his free throw in a carnival style. It was like this ding, 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 and popped out.
Yep.
JT Toppin, he had no chance. When he went to the free throw line, I turned to Hunter, I go, this has absolutely no chance of going in. And he was he was shooting it, hoping it just hit the rim. Missed free throws, but this game was not handed to Florida. Florida went out there and grabbed it in a big way.
There was a moment at the end of the game, 21 seconds to play. They had trapped Florida half court. They were looking at a play to see if they had a shot clock violation getting over the timeline. It came down to 1 second. You saw the coaches on the sideline yelling, do not foul, we've got them. We're going to get a turnover here, because that was also a huge storyline with Texas Tech in this game. They scored 22 points off of 12 turnovers. That would have been another opportunity right there, and it's in those big game moments that they unfortunately crumbled Texas Tech.
Well, they crumbled, but the coaches were saying foul. And then when it got to 7, 8, 9 on the 10-second down.
Right, exactly.
So they went from foul, don't foul. Like, when you're playing, first of all, there's thousands
what's
of people.
that like?
It's horrible.
Right.
Like, oh, God, you're trying to do anything to help your team win. But, yeah, they messed up. They shouldn't have fouled.
Yeah, because you're not, I mean, when you're playing like that, you're not looking at the shot clock when you're trying to full court press. And so, like, when they first got it in, we were saying foul, you have to foul because of the shot clock disparity. But then, yeah, like, in hindsight's 2020, I mean, at that point you don't want to foul, but the players aren't looking at the shot clock in that instance. So it was just bad luck. It was unfortunate, but, you know, those things are costly.
Momentum is a powerful thing, and Florida had it all in the last few minutes.
I gave such a great pregame speech, too.
You really did, yeah.
Gosh darn it. Lubbock, I love you. Heck of a season. Grant McCaslin, one of my favorite coaches. But, hey, congratulations to Florida. Moving on as they head to the Final Four for the first time since 2014. The madness is here. We just watched madness. It was incredible. Don't miss a moment of the action on CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV. Download the March Madness Live app to watch every game, anywhere, anytime. We only got a couple games left, but watch them live. Still ahead, Florida. Chomp, chomp as they rally down the stretch, close the game on an 18-4 run to go from San Francisco to San Antonio. Walter Clayton Jr. and Thomas Houck scored 14 points in the final 3 minutes of the game. Texas Tech scored 4 points. Gators finished the game on an 18-4 run in the final 3 minutes. They're cutting down nets in San Francisco, ultimately looking to cut down nets in San Antonio. Lauren Shahadi with Todd Golden and the Gators.
Coach, first Final Four for Florida in over a decade. Why was this the group?
They've done it all year, been incredibly resilient. They say the course, never too high, too low. We're down 9 going that last media. We just had to dig in, get some stops. Tommy Walt made some big-time shots, got some stops down the stretch. It's what we've done all year. We found a way to win these games.
Do Tommy and Walter know the game is hard? It doesn't look like it.
I think they do, but they work at it, and they do a great job playing off their teammates, making everybody better. They stepped up down the stretch, though.
Tommy, you didn't want to talk sentimental earlier, but I spoke with your dad. He said at 5 years old, you dreamt of this moment, playing for the Gators. You're going to the Final Four with them. What's this like?
It's amazing, bro. This team's special, man. This team's super special, and I'm honored to be a part of it, man. And it's a cold man right here,
He's
bro.
a cold man. And I feel like, Walter, the tighter the game, the looser you play. How?
Ice cold. And I don't know, man. I just got all these guys around me. We don't spread apart during adversity, man. We come together. So shout out to the whole team. We all did it together.
You know, everyone talks about roster construction and how your roster is great, but you told me they have stuff the box score doesn't show. What was it tonight?
Hey, we look for 3 things when we recruit Gators. We want great attitudes, great work ethics, most importantly, guys that want to wear Florida on that chest. I don't care that these guys wear red tie. They're badass players, man. They go to the Final Four now.
Yes, they are.
Florida, the 4th SEC team to make the Final Four in the last 10 seasons. No SEC team has won the title since Kentucky in 2012. So, waiting on the other side of the bracket for them in San Antonio will be either Auburn or Michigan State. You remember they played Auburn earlier in the season. Auburn was ranked number 1. They snapped their 14-game winning streak. Walter Clayton Jr. was great in that game, and they won. They haven't played Michigan State this season. So, are we rooting for this SEC on SEC in the Final Four? Who do they want to see?
The best 2 teams, talent-wise, is Auburn and Florida.
So that's like a de facto national championship right there.
I think Auburn can beat Florida. I don't think, and I'm comfortable saying this, Michigan State can beat Florida. So I have Michigan State and Florida playing in my bracket. I have Florida winning that game. When you play Florida, you got to have guys that get really tough buckets. I think Michigan State's an amazing team. They obviously have a young star, but they don't have the spurtability of an Auburn, and they don't have the guys who can get tough buckets like Texas Tech. So I would rather see Auburn versus Florida.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's pretty easy that, Florida would rather play Michigan State because, Auburn's clearly the more talented team out of the 2. I think Florida's more talented than both of them, but I think it's pretty obvious that they'd rather play Michigan State. I mean, Auburn is they're just more talented.
Guys, I'm just going to say it again. This is the beauty of chalk. When you get all the big-time matchups, because no matter who they get, it's going to be a great game. This was an incredible game. People were complaining that Cinderella didn't win in week 1. It was setting up week 2, and week 2 has been brilliant. We're about to get another brilliant game. Every game from this point on is a national championship caliber team because all the best teams have made it this far.
I mean, you could have a situation, again, we're lining up where we could have all 4 1 seeds.
We're also lining up, we could have all 4 SEC teams.
Yeah, we're also
Which
there
one
as
do you
well.
think is more likely?
Yeah.
All 4 ones. Yeah, I think that's more likely.
Yeah, because Houston can beat Tennessee.
I think that'll be tough for
That's
Tennessee.
the one where that's where you think, right? Because you believe Alabama could beat Duke tonight. It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, you got to make 18 threes.
Yeah.
They're coming off making. It's a good time to be playing Duke after you have 25 threes. You feel really good about yourself. Like, this is like exactly, you don't want to come in playing Duke and like, oh, it don't feel so good. Like, you feel amazing. Like, we can beat anybody. Mark Sears, feels like strong like bull. Like, you feel amazing going into a game like this. So, it's the perfect time to be playing Duke.
After seeing Florida, and I know you picked them to win the whole thing, right? After seeing Florida, does this give you even more confidence in them winning the national championship, seeing what they just did?
Bro, I can't believe they won that game. That was fake what just happened.
Right, so that
down 9 with less than 4 minutes
should give you
Are
more
they playing
confidence.
with house money? House money?
Yeah, this is a house money game. House money in a tournament is so important. You remember this because you're old like me. How many times did we see a team throughout, before they won a national championship, have that game? Right? UCLA, Like, there's always, like, that game they should have lost. Like, you almost needed to go through that game to win a national championship. For me, this was that game for Florida.
I mean, the UConn game was
totally. Yeah.
I don't think we've seen Florida's best basketball in this tournament yet. I thought their best basketball came in the SEC tournament. I think they've narrowly gotten by a couple of opponents yet. I think Duke has played better than Florida so far in this tournament, but Florida's got another level they can get to. We saw it in the SEC tournament, and that's the version of that team that can win a national championship.
Well, we will wait to see who they face. Michigan State and Auburn playing on Sunday on CBS. Florida with a first-class ticket to San Antonio, looking to cut down the nets once again. They've won 2 national championships in their school history, and man, 2 wins away from another one. Still ahead here on CBS Sports HQ, Florida wins a thriller over Texas Tech. We'll relive the drama, full highlights, and more reaction coming up. Keep it locked. Florida erases a double-digit deficit with 6 minutes to play. Walter Clayton Jr., big boy buckets, 22 of his 30 in the second half. The Gators went 4 for 4 from beyond the arc in less than 2 minutes after starting 5 of 20. Darian Williams for the tie. You remember he tied it up against Arkansas to send it to overtime. Needed that one to potentially send it to overtime here. Instead, it goes begging. And Florida going to go from San Francisco to San Antonio. First Final Four since 2014. They've won 2 national championships, now 2 wins away from another one. A trip to San Antonio on the line in San Francisco. Todd Golden, 1 seed Florida, against Grant McCasland and 3 seed Texas Tech. Late first half, Walter Clayton Jr. knocks it loose. Thomas Houck, let me get that steal, let me get that dunk. Gators up by 3 at the break. And remember, Texas Tech rallied from 16 down to get here. Florida 27-0 when leading at halftime this season. Early second half, Texas Tech down 2. Darian Williams posting up. Hook shot, good. We're tied at 42. Minute later, Elijah Hawkins to Williams for 3. Nails it. Up 3. Caps an 8-0 run. A few minutes later, Texas Tech up 1. Houck blocked by Federico. Ensuing Texas Tech possession. Hawkins behind the back to Chance McMillan. 3rd leading scorer. Welcome back. Missed the last 4 games with an upper body injury. Red Raiders up 4. Just over a minute later, off the missed floater, Elijah Martin comes up with it and throws it down. Strong with the right hand. We're tied at 55. Martin had 10. Minute later, Texas Tech up 2. McMillan. Friendly roll on the floater. Red Raiders up 4. Just under 8 to play. Christian Anderson to Federico. Alley-oop. Up 10, caps a 12-2 run for Texas Tech. Their largest lead of the game. Can they hang on? Just under 3 to play. Walter Clayton Jr. to Hauk. Got it. Down 6. Next Florida possession. Hauk. My name is Thomas Hauk, and I get buckets. Down 3. He finished with 20 points, 11 rebounds off the bench. Next Florida possession. Clayton. Step back. Clutch. We're tied at 75. Caps a 9-0 run. Not done. Clayton. Behind the three-point line. A big boy bucket. 22 of his 30 in the second half. You want to talk about clutch? He's clutch. Texas Tech with a chance to take back the lead. Oh, the emotion of March. 37 seconds left. Texas Tech down 1. Williams for 3. No. Martin gets the board. Ensuing Florida possession. Gators trying to get it out of the backcourt. Texas Tech not fouling initially, but then they do foul. But did it happen before 10 seconds? Grant McCasland seems to think so. Take another look. Refs uphold the call. So, going to the free throw line. Martin would sink both to go up 3. Ensuing Texas Tech possession. Williams for the tie. No. Remember, he tied the game against Arkansas to force overtime. That perhaps would have sent it to overtime, and Florida seals it at the line where they were an eye-popping 25 of 27. Make your free throws, kids. Todd Golden and the Gators chomp, cutting down nets in San Francisco, ultimately looking to cut down nets in San Antonio, advancing to the Final Four for the first time since 2014. How'd they do this? They ended the game on an 18-4 run over the final 3 minutes. Consider they hit 4 of their final 4 3-pointers after starting 5 of 20. Chomp, on to the Final Four.
Coach, first Final Four for Florida in over a decade. Why was this the group?
They've done it all year. Been incredibly resilient. They say the course, never too high, too low. We're down 9 going that last media. We just had to dig in, get some stops. Tommy Walt, it made some big-time shots, got some stops down the stretch. It's what we've done all year. We found a way to win these games.
Do Tommy and Walter know the game is hard? It doesn't look like it.
I think they do, but they work at it, and they do a great job playing off their teammates, making everybody better. They stepped up down the stretch, though.
Tommy, you didn't want to talk sentimental earlier, but I spoke with your dad. He said at 5 years old, you dreamt of this moment, playing for the Gators. You're going to the Final Four with them. What's this like?
It's amazing, bro. This team's special, man. This team's super special, and I'm honored to be a part of it, man. And it's a cold man right here,
He's
bro.
a cold man. And I feel like, Walter, the tighter the game, the looser you play. How?
Ice cold. I don't know, man. I just got all these guys around me. We don't spread apart during adversity, man. We come together. So shout out to the whole team. We all did it together.
You know, everyone talks about roster construction and how your roster is great, but you told me they have stuff the box score doesn't show. What was it tonight?
Hey, we look for 3 things when we recruit Gators. We want great attitudes, great work ethics, most importantly, guys that want to wear Florida on that chest. I don't care that these guys wear ray tie. They're badass players, man. They go into the Final Four now.
How about this? This is eye-popping. This tells the story. I'm going to narrate it for you. 2 Florida players scored more points than Texas Tech in the final 3 minutes of the game. Walter Clayton Jr. and Thomas Hauk go for 14 combined. Texas Tech, 4 points. As Florida finishes the game on an 18-4 run over the final 3 minutes of this one. Florida finishes March 10-0. But for it really to matter, they're going to have to win 2 games in April to cut down nets. Coming up, back out to San Francisco, a tough loss for Grant McCasland and Texas Tech. They had a double-digit lead with 6 minutes to play, and they come up short. We'll hear from the Red Raiders next on CBS Sports HQ. Keep it locked. Live coverage continues here on CBS Sports HQ. Back out to San Francisco, Texas Tech head coach Grant McCasland at the podium.
Just 24 hours to get to play. I'm curious what you feel like he embodies in terms of the players you like to bring into this program.
I told the guys we do a free shoot the night before we play on the road. If we get in early enough and it's an evening game and it's open, they can do whatever they want. And Chance goes to the block and does form shooting on both ends, and then he goes to the free throw line, and then he shoots threes at each spot, and he does it on both ends. Then he goes back to the free throw line and finishes till the end of the clock. And he just is – he is diligent and he's focused. And to me, I did not think he was going to really play. I went into the game thinking he would play maybe a couple of minutes if we had him but he warmed up, and the whole staff was like, let's put him in there early and see how he does. And man, it's almost miraculous what he was trying to do, really. And we didn't win the game, so it doesn't have the same thrill for everybody to write stories, but to me, in my heart, it doesn't change anything. What he was willing to sacrifice for the guys to put himself in position, I don't think anybody really understands it. And in my heart and in our guys' hearts, they know that he loved them that much that he was willing to do whatever. There's not many times you get to see guys do that, and he did. And that's how he lived his life, and that's how he approached the whole season, and that's how he was every day. It's not today. It's how he was every day, and that's why we got the opportunity to be in the Elite Eight, and it really does hurt that we couldn't win it and give him another opportunity to compete.
Kyle Bonnegar with ESPN. Clayton obviously hit some big shots down the stretch. What about him is just hard to match up against? And then he also has that ability to get to the line as well.
Yeah, that was the part that honestly I was disappointed in, was just that he got to the free throw line so much. And he's a hard cover. He just is so difficult. He can hurt you in so many different ways. He's dynamic at shooting, but he's crafty in his change of pace, and they do such a good job of moving the ball. And we decided we were going to live with those forwards making threes, and that's what made it difficult when you're keying on him, and then he's starting to get fouled, and then other guys need to step up, and they did. I did think we got fatigued late, like that last 5 minutes. We didn't quite keep two on him. We lost him twice, but his motor's real, and his ability to get a shot off is and that's a great Florida team. And I do want to give them a ton of credit, because they had a good plan for the last 5 minutes, and I didn't do a good enough job of keeping the ball out of Clayton's hands, and I didn't do a good enough job of getting our guys in the right position offensively so that we could finish the game and win it.
Hey, Coach, Jared Johnson, inside the Red Raiders. There was a big difference in terms of the free throw line attempts. They attempted almost twice as many, but then they also made at 92%, while y'all were 53, 54%. For such a good free throw shooting team for the year, it seems like that's cropped up in some tough times, some bad free throw shooting. I just wonder why you think that happened tonight. Was it fatigue, or what went on?
We have been a great free throw shooting team all year long. And unfortunately, I just think JT got in a rut. And, he's the one that missed 5 of them. And other than that, Darian Williams, I know they were trying to intentionally foul at the end, and we recognized it. That's where I didn't do a good enough job, but they weren't trying to intentionally foul Darian Williams. That was a mistake. And then he just went up there and missed the front end of the 1-and-1. And, in these moments, that's not what got us beat. And I'm not just saying that as coach speak. I just feel like we pushed the tempo a little too quick late in the game and rushed some things that I felt like if we had a little more composure, and then if we would have been able to defensive rebound and limit the threes from Clayton, then I think that would have been the difference in the game for me. And so, obviously, who doesn't want to make free throws? Everybody does. Nobody steps up there and misses intentionally, especially in those moments. And I know everybody likes to, but I think there's more effort, things involved in this game that we could have done better, and I could have done a better job coaching us down the stretch to put us in better positions.
Scott Howard Cooper from Hoops HQ. When Florida starts getting on that run where they're hitting the string of threes that you mentioned with Clayton in particular, what does that do to a defense? How does that change what you want to do, and also emotionally, how does it change?
I thought number 10, Thomas's threes were the ones that really hurt us, but those were the ones that we were willing to give up because of the putting 2 on the ball and the rotation. And we actually got a great contest and did make Clayton miss. We just couldn't rebound it. That, to me, that's the difference. I mean, we did end up with 14 offensive rebounds, but the offensive rebounds on the miss, those are the ones that you can't give up.
Nathan Geese, Lubbock Avalanche Journal. I know you hate when I ask you broad stroke questions, but when you took over, you said you feel like you can win a title here, and you got so close to coming into this point. What have you learned throughout this whole process of the 2 years to get to this point that you're going to take with you the most moving forward as coach here?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's the character of your guys and their will to win and their heart and love for each other. And I thought it was on full display with Darian Williams playing through injury and Chance McMillan playing through injury, and then the guys that we added to the roster. You know, I told him in the locker room, like Kerwin Walton was just always ready. And I don't even know if we play in this game because of how great he was in that UNC Wilmington game. We're here. So, I mean, you just never know who it's going to be. But those guys were so willing to do whatever it takes to win. And I think that's the foundation of what we'll do moving forward, is making sure those guys, and those guys we added, like Elijah Hawkins, how awesome was he? You know, I mean, he has a triple-double almost in the NCAA tournament, and he was unbelievable on Clayton. I mean, Clayton didn't make a three, I think, for a majority of the game till we got toward the end, and it was a big part of it was Elijah, but he did draw some fouls on Elijah. But I thought his competitiveness changed the complexion of their offense and really made them, you know, less dynamic. But them getting to the free throw line and getting fouled was really difficult. But man, just the heart of these guys that we've added and the guys that were here, they all really want to win. They don't care about individual performances, and you know, that's the thing I think moving forward we'll keep focusing on.
Last one from the room here.
And then you got a couple seniors moving out. JT and Darren have some pro aspirations that they have to kind of consider. And you kind of mentioned it with the portal and everything. Everything shifts. Is it even more important now to focus on, like, each season is its own thing rather than trying to take all of this and moving into the next one, because you just never know?
Yeah, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that this group of guys, I think, did get a taste and did get to see what it means to really love your teammates the way that I think God tells us to give everything we have. And I mean it. Like, how do you give everything you have? How do you lay down your life? How do you sacrifice for other people? How do you love other people in a real way? And I think that's what builds from year to year.
Coach.
And I believe that's the heart of the guys that we have, and that's what will be the most important part of these rosters, is that heart. And we'll be able to do it with the guys that we'll have returning because of it.
Thank you, Coach.
You bet.
Grant McCaslin, a leader of men. Unfortunately, they come up short in the Elite Eight against Florida, 84-79, dropping them to 1-4 all-time against one seeds in the NCAA tournament. They had a 10-point lead, 6 minutes to play in the Elite Eight. This after erasing a 16-point second-half deficit in the Sweet 16. They could just not withhold Florida as the Gators march on to the Final Four. Coming up, we'll hear from those Gators. Chomp, chomp in the control room. How about that? I love it. That's our control room. No, I'm just kidding. It's a control room somewhere in the country. We'll head back to San Francisco after the break.
All right, 1 minute. 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 1 Sunday's Elite Eight is not far away, and we have a chalky one with #1 Houston versus #2 Tennessee, and then #1 Auburn versus the #2 Spartans. Chris Williamson here with you as we bring in Adam Finkelstein, Tim Doyle, and Hunter Dickinson to look at Houston, Tennessee first. And Hunter, you know how physical and smart the Cougars are. You played them very close in 2 different games, right? One was in the high 80s, low 90s, the other one in the 60s, 50s. What makes them, or when you look at this game, what's going to be the biggest reason why they beat Tennessee based on your experience playing against them?
I think the biggest thing for Houston is going to have to, you got to out-physical them. And I think for Houston, a problem for Tennessee is they rank 242nd in defensive rebounding, and Houston ranks 9th in rebounding. And I think that'll be something that, Houston is not that great offensively, but like we always said, one of our coaches, Coach Dooley, who did our scouts for Houston, he said, the possession really starts when the ball goes up. And that's where they kill you, is extra possessions. When we played them at Houston, they missed more shots than we took. And so that comes from offensive rebounds, from turnovers. That's where Houston's really great at, is getting those extra possessions so that, it's a numbers game. If you shoot more shots than the other team, you have a greater chance to win. So that's where they're going to kill you.
That's the essence of Houston basketball right there. Offensive rebounds, defense forcing turnovers. They are all about winning the possession game. What is different this year about this Houston team is they are the best three-point shooting team in the country. They shoot 39.8%.
Just say 40%, please.
Yeah, round it out. I'm doing the nerd stuff. The nerd stuff. Here's the thing. The last time they were in the top 100 was 2018. They were 34th. This isn't just the best shooting team they've had. This is far and away the best shooting team they've had. That means they can beat you in different ways.
Yeah, and that's why they've been so hard to beat. Now for Tennessee, they are no Alabama in terms of offensive production, but they got some dogs on their team. Zakai Ziegler, I know you love him.
It's my guy.
Right, Chad Lanier, Jordan Gainey. They can score in a variety of ways. So, Hunter, I'll start with you. What's the biggest reason Tennessee can beat Houston?
You got to throw the first punch of your Tennessee. I always told my teammates, look, in this game, you're going to either hit or get hit. Like, when the ball goes up, you either got to go block out your man with your forearm, or else they're going to come push you under the rim. So I think it's for Tennessee, you can't match their intensity. You got to surpass their intensity. And I think if you do that, Coach Self always said, bullies don't like tasting their own blood. And I think that's what you got to do with Houston.
Yeah, and for a guy like Zakai Ziegler, he just sets the tone. Last game, he was fantastic. Kentucky had beaten Tennessee twice. And he came out and he was like, no, no, no. Like, there was no weakness there. 18 points, 10 assists. He dominated the basketball. He makes teammates better. He's the ultimate leader. By the way, he's been around the block. He has the experience. And talk about being scared. When you're from the 516, which is called Strong Island, you're not scared of Houston or the bullies or blood or any of that stuff, okay? Zakai Ziegler has to set a tone. He's got to be able to handle those really physical players of Houston, and this is like a perfect matchup for him. He wants all this smoke. New York guards love playing in games like this, and I expect him to have an enormous effort.
He may not be the most talented, per se, guard in this game. He may not be the best long-term prospect, but he's the most reliable guard in this game. And if it gets close down the stretch, which it probably will because it's going to be a slower tempo game. By the way, Hunter, everything he says is not necessarily true. Houston's the 12th best offensive team in the country. Just, back pocket. But side note, Zakai, when it gets slow, Zakai is the guy who can manage the game. And I think he manages the game better than, and I know Uzan's great. He was my player of the game last night. And he's going to be an NBA player, but I think Zakai is the one who manages the game the best.
Yeah, he is very composed, and you just want to have that type of leader on your team, especially in the Elite Eight. Now, let's move on to the regional final in Atlanta. You got Auburn and Michigan State. And Hunter, there have been some times in this tournament where Auburn has looked shaky. They're not locked in, but they're still here, right? They've come out with a W each time. That's all that matters. So what's the biggest reason Auburn is going to defeat Tom Izzo and the Spartans?
I think for Auburn, you can't get bored. I think right now they're kind of getting a little bored out there. It seems like, they're being, a little, like you said, a little shaky. And I think it's just not from being, it's from being not locked in. And I think for a team like, going against Michigan State, if you're not locked in, I think they'll take advantage of that. I think at times Michigan wasn't able to take advantage of Tennessee or of Auburn's mistakes. Auburn had a couple of lazy turnovers in that game, and Michigan really wasn't able to capitalize on that. I think if you're playing a Michigan State team who thrives in transition, those turnovers will be, really costly for you. So I think if you're Auburn, just don't get bored with it. Make sure you know that you're playing in an Elite Eight game, and just try to, out-talent them, because you are the more talented team. Try to out-talent Michigan.
Yeah, I'm going to just kind of build off that. They just have more offensive weapons. And, obviously Broom's the guy that everyone knows, talking about National of the Year conversations. But, when they were trailing in a game against Michigan, it was all the other guys. Tahad Pettiford made some amazing shots. Denver Jones, I thought, made the 2 biggest threes of the game, and then he had a layup. He had an 8-0 run by himself. So this is a team that has almost 6 players averaging in double figures. They have more offensive talent. The biggest thing with them, Adam, is can they control their emotions? They are an emotional team. When the emotions are going good, they go on 31-8 runs like Michigan. They open up the game and they blow out the Wolverines. When it's not going good, it can be rocky, and this is a team that last year lost to Yale. So I need the good Auburn to show up.
Yeah, and obviously I think you're talking about Chad Baker-Mazara. He's got to control his emotions. He's the tip of that spear, if you will. I'm going to say something. Matt Norlander on Ion College Basketball podcast last night made a really interesting point. He said that Ole Miss almost out Michigan State. They were the more physical team for the first half the other night. I think Auburn can do that as well, but I think Auburn's got more offensive firepower to back it up. So they've got an overlap of physicality and shot making, because it's not just about the big fella down low. We saw Tahad Pettiford go nuts. We saw Denver Jones go nuts. They can, again, beat you in different ways. So you got Broom down there, who is hugely physical. The other point, there is more contact being allowed in this NCAA tournament than we've seen in a long, long time. I think that plays to Auburn's favor. Add the shot making on top of that. I think that's the recipe how they win this one.
So that's the recipe for how they win. Now, Tom Izzo, he doesn't even have his most talented roster, but they play incredibly hard. They make life very difficult for opposing offenses. One of the best rebounding teams in the nation. Hunter, what's the biggest reason they could take down Auburn?
I think it's if Auburn, starts out sloppy. Coach Izzo team's always going to play super tough, super hard. So they got to get out in transition. When we played Michigan State at Michigan, the biggest thing for us was, in transition, the guards are always going to try to run behind the opposing team's bigs and almost set like, a mini ball screen on their guards. And so that's something that Auburn has to be aware of. In defensive transition, you can't just run with your back towards the ball. You got to turn and face the ball and be able to make sure that you're not setting a screen on your own guards.
I think their guards have to be key here. I don't think that Michigan State's bigs can outplay Auburn's bigs, so I think their guards have to outplay Auburn's guards. And for me, that starts with Jace Richardson. He's been up and down. He was 1 of 10 from the floor the other night in their second-round game. And then last night, he was phenomenal, dynamic, really asserting himself as like what he is, which is the most talented guard on that roster. I think he's got to do more of that tomorrow. They've got to do some things to get him going, too, not just play him out of the corner. They get him off the DHOs, or they get him off some pitches going downhill to his left hand. So let's face it, he doesn't go right very often. That's going to open things up. But it's not just him. They need the totality of their backcourt to really get going if they're going to have a chance.
Yeah, I just trust Michigan State more than I trust Auburn. And the reason why is they have, like, guys that have been through the wars at Michigan State. It's hard to find a team where you have multiple 3- and 4-year players within the program. Like, they have a culture. So even when they were trailing against Ole Miss, there's like a reliability because everyone understands their role. Finding teams that understand their role in college basketball, that's like next to impossible because the rosters are changing every year. And you got a guy that's averaging 18 somewhere, and he comes in, and you're like, all right, bro, you got to average 11 here. He's like, I don't want to do that. Look at this squad and check out the seasons with Michigan State. I mean, 3 years now is like an eternity with someone. Jaden Aiken's 4 years. That's like, we never see that anymore. So that's huge because they have an amazing culture. This team embodies the old school Tom Izzo teams. Tough, physical, rebound. They do not have the talent. They don't have the scoring of Auburn. So I don't think they have to play perfect, but they got to get inside of Auburn's head and frustrate them for the entire 40 minutes. Michigan did it for 28 minutes, and then they fell apart. So Michigan State can win this game, but Auburn's much more talented.
So will this game be a one-possession score at the end of it, Tim?
I believe so.
Okay.
I think this is going to go down to the wire. Unless Auburn has one of those Auburn could win this game by 20. Michigan State can't. Michigan State, do you agree with that?
Yeah,
like
100%.
They got to grind away at this game. And at this point in the year, this is when everyone gets tight. You don't see teams like out there loose. That's a rare thing. What happened with Alabama when they made all those threes. I think this game's going to be close.
I think, for Michigan State to win, it's got to be in like the 60s. I feel like
totally.
a 61, 58, 57 type game. If it gets past, 70s, 80s, Auburn's going to win this game because they're the more talented team, and that's where they want to play. Michigan State wants to dirty up the game, make it ugly, make it a grinded game. That's what Izzo really likes. And I think for Auburn, you don't want that. You want it to be a high-paced game and try to get a lot of points in this game.
Do you know your record against Michigan State?
4-3.
Oh, let's go.
He was ready. He knows that. He knows that record. He ain't forgetting that. Adam, Hunter, Tim, we appreciate the time. As always, as the madness is here, don't miss a moment of the action.
I was happy he didn't say 0-7. That would have been embarrassing.
That would have been ugly. TNT and True TV. Download the March Madness Live app to watch every game, anywhere, anytime, live. And coming up, how would Milwaukee Brewers starter Nestor Cortes do in his first time pitching against the Yankees after being traded by the Bombers in December? We'll show you after the break.